What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday edition of the Alpha Series here on Discover Crypto. I'm excited to sit down with Deezy, Mr. Nick Valdez, and talk about who he is, where he comes from, what he's all about, because I have no idea, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, why the hell is he hosting Discover Crypto? What's he all about? Does he even know anything about crypto? Well, let's dig into it. Deezy, how are you feeling? Thank you for being here. And what's your story, man? Like, how are you in this position?
Well, how are you talking over my shoulder? Who the hell are you talking to over there? What is going on? Is there hidden cameras in the wall? I don't know what's up.
Talking to all of you out there.
My name is Deezy, also known Nick Valdez. I am a former professional Magic the Gathering streamer, whatever that means. Not much in my opinion. And I've been in crypto. I've been making crypto content since 2020, briefly. And then I started working for the channel here back early 2021. And so I've been working in crypto full time, a little over 2 years at this point. I've been in content creation full time, a little over 4 years at this point.
So you got into content creation for crypto in 2020, you said?
Well, I started out with Magic the Gathering, but then I made my first piece of crypto content, which is Gods Unchained back in 2020.
So does that mean you just got into crypto the day before that, or did you have a little bit of a pathway that got you there?
I had a little bit of a pathway. I first discovered crypto from 4chan, actually, from the B board. So this was, Bitcoin, maybe a year or two old at this point. So fairly soon, I remember seeing some pretty low prices for Bitcoin. I remember my buddy trying to convince me. We worked together at ADT, the home security thing. So you ride around in a van, you leave headquarters, you might have to go to a town an hour away. This is early days of smartphone. The web traffic was pretty low back then. The web pages were pretty low. There wasn't really social media networks like there is today. So I remember, the text board on B, that's where I started discovering Bitcoin. And my buddy was like, man, we got to start buying some of this. But 4chan was nothing but scammers. And I thought for sure, if I try to make Bitcoin, I'm going to get scammed. They're going to hack me. They're going to see my driver's license number somehow, my social security number. And it freaked me out being that it was related to that. And so I stayed away. Fast forward about 2 years, a buddy from high school was telling me about Silk Road and how he bought some ecstasy on it, full disclosure. And he was like, yeah, man, you got to get Bitcoin. I love this website. You could buy anything. And I was like, man, you're crazy. I don't know. This seems nuts. And then shortly thereafter, he lost, or maybe even during that time, he's like, yeah, I had to buy more Bitcoin because I lost Bitcoin on that computer. I remember him just pointing at his computer. And I was like, what do you mean you lost Bitcoin? I kind of had an idea of what it was. He's like, yeah, like I lost the password to my wallet or something. I just remember thinking like, wow, so you can have money in it and you just lose it super easy and it's associated with hackers? And so it kept me away from Bitcoin. Even though I knew about it early, knew the proposition value of it early, it freaked me out.
So that's a great spot to pivot there.
And not to cover, the whole time I'm investing in traditional stocks. And so I'm like, well, my Amazon's doing pretty good, guy.
Right, no, but you bring up a great point because it's not just you as an individual. We see right now with all these Bitcoin spot ETFs, we see institutions on the horizon. And that's only because there's some proof of concept that's actually endured over a good period of time now, over a decade, in fact, for Bitcoin. But the question here, it kind of lies in, or the hesitation, I should say, lies in the lack of awareness broadly in both retail and institution. Because let's be honest, the people that are running institutions are people too. And they, large in part, they are a part of retail. So the awareness factor of Bitcoin over the last 10 years has grown so exponentially. The question is really, how do we get people from A to B? The genesis of first having the seed planted of hearing about Bitcoin, maybe seeing it, on The Simpsons or, in all the different media we watch, and then taking the leap to investigate it a little bit, and then taking that third step to actually get involved. So to get there, we need awareness. So I'm curious with you, where you came from. How old were you? What was your process like? At what point in life did you understand that there was a different value to money or currency than you were brought up? That change. When did that change happen?
I learned that I was poor in second grade. I remember learning that. I grew up real poor. I grew up with a single mother. I could get into how, I don't want to say bad it truly was, but things weren't easy. There was a period my mother was locked up. My father was put in jail, put under the concrete months after I was born. I never saw him. I saw him 2-3 times when I was 13. I haven't seen him since, and I never saw him before that, and I haven't talked to him since, really. And so, I grew up just very, very poor. But when you're 5, you don't know you're poor. When you're 6, you don't know you're poor. It takes a certain level. And I remember, my mother dating Robbie Cumberland. He was a big jerk, man. Really, really big jerk. Abusive, not a fun time. But his daughter, I remember saying, oh, well, there's other people, they're more poor than us. And I learned the term middle class. I didn't know what middle class was. That's when I started seeing, as a 7-year-old, oh, there's like hierarchies.
There's social strata.
There's social strata, and I'm down here. And then I don't know when it was, but at a certain point you realize, I don't want to be down here. I want to be up here. So I remember pretty early, single digits age, you're blowing the birthday cake. You're not supposed to say your wish is not going to come true. I remember just wishing, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. I was tired of being poor. And so I pretty quickly learned the value of money, scrounging for lunch money in middle school. Like maybe I would have an issue trying to get lunch money from my mother. I'm scrounging the quarters and the dimes and the couch cushions. While in high school, I was pushed to work pretty early to help. A lot of people, they don't have that experience. It's the opposite. Their parents encourage them to work at the same time giving them money, paying for their car, paying for their cell phone, and then having them, oh yeah, you need to learn the value of $1 and make extra money on top of that. I was working and paying for my own school clothes. I was working, paying for my own school lunch. And so I learned the value of hard work, and I learned the value of $1 while being a high school student. And so that definitely gave me an advantage. Being poor, statistically speaking, probably not an advantage. Your education's probably not going to be as good. Your influences are probably not going to be as good. Your home life's probably not going to be as good. But you do get an advantage with some aspects of mentality. And, I just try to focus, let's hone the positives from that and let's sharpen it and let's use it as a weapon to create financial independence.
What an interesting story there. And that's one of those things that all of us need to remember when we're talking to anybody, whether you're sitting in line at the bank or maybe not at the bank because maybe you're walking down the street talking to a homeless person or a friend that you never went deep with. Everybody has a story. Everybody comes from somewhere, and there's depth there that we can truly connect on if we understand, even if somebody's being difficult to deal with or there's compassion and love there that we can engage with, right? And we can understand people better if we know that we all have a story. So you mentioned all this about your understanding of the lack of value proposition of the dollar and what it means to have money, and then the true value of money, I should say. But where did that value proposition that you mentioned of Bitcoin, when did that flip the switch in you that rather than you were just aware of it, that you actively said you pulled the trigger to do the first action, transaction, or purchase or something engaging with it?
So it was almost going to be 2017. That's when Bitcoin really started to go on its first major mainstream tear where, it started really getting people's attention. And I remember pretty early in the year, so, well before December, well before October. So I don't know what level we're at, well below 10K. I remember it hitting headlines. And then that's when I decided to, it's time to do some education here. Probably like a lot of people in crypto, once you become fascinated about something, you want to deep dive on it. You want to go full blown autismo on it. And so that's a little bit of an aspect of what I did for Bitcoin there. And I remember looking into it, and it was Reddit. It was Reddit of all places that I learned about the 4-year cycle. So I saw about the 4-year cycle pretty early because at that point, we did have a little bit of a spike in 11, and then a spike in 2013, and then we were starting to spike in 2017. And then once we hit a new all-time high, then that 4-year cycle really starts to look pretty clear. And you're like, oh, wow, we're setting up for a repeat of history here. And a lot of smart people were saying, oh, the halving Bitcoin will go down. And I remember they're saying, guys, you idiots, 2K is the top. Guys, I know we hit 3K, but surely 4K is the top. And so pretty early in 2017, I just remember thinking, oh, this thing's going to reverse anytime now. It's going to reverse anytime now. It's going to reverse. It's going to reverse. Reverse. Because, you see, you're like, oh, I could buy this at 3K. Should I? No, man, it's going to reverse. And then you go forward a few weeks and it's 5K and you feel like an idiot. You're like, well, I'm definitely not going to buy it now. So during this period, I'm watching it climb and I start doing some research. And pretty early, I got the mentality where I have to wait for it to retrace. It will have what they call a crypto winter. I start learning more about the 4-year cycle. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't buy any Bitcoin or any crypto in 2017. I waited till 2018 and then I started buying. I looked, I think the first Bitcoin I bought was from the retracement down to 10. And I think I bought as soon as it got near 10. I remember thinking, oh, it's near 10. Now is when I start buying, and then it went to 5, then it went to 3. So it kept going lower and lower and lower. But at the time, I didn't really care. I was like, okay, I finally have exposure. Of course, the first coin I bought when I downloaded Coinbase, I'm going to buy that 10K Bitcoin. Whoa, XRP is how much? I could buy so much for $100 versus Bitcoin, and I bought XRP. So that was the journey. That was the journey right there.
I mean, I can honestly say that journey is probably echoed by so many different people. A lot of people, and I say this, on BitLab Academy, when we're talking about these cycles, everybody that's ever traded or invested ever has bought a top of an asset and gotten scared and sold at some point also. We've all bought a top and sold a bottom. And at the end of the day, it's all about how do you dive in, be ambitiously curious, dive into, okay, how can I fix my broken strategy? Because clearly that's not how people that made money. They figured out, okay, there's other data points I can look at rather than just looking at price. And then similarly, the XRP story, whether it's XRP, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, Cardano, it doesn't matter. So many people come in, and it's going to happen even more this next cycle. We're going to have the most onboarding of new adopters coming into the markets than we've ever had in this next cycle because institutions are coming in, because the price breaking past 70, whenever that happens, that's when the hype cycle, the free press for crypto goes out.
Yep.
And people are going to say, I can't afford a $70,000 Bitcoin. I'm going to go buy $1 Cardano. And I'm not saying at all Cardano is a bad project, but people need to be curious about the assets they're investing in. So what would you say, knowing the journey you've had and the different sticking points or hurdles or failures? We've all had failures in this space. What we've learned from it, what would you say to somebody that's just coming in, they're on the fence about coming in, or somebody that's watching that has a family member that's asking about it? What's the advice for somebody that's stepping in this space? Very basic.
Well, first let me say, coin price does matter per coin. Mm-hmm. Separate from market cap. And this sounds dumb. No, the only thing that counts is market cap. Mm-hmm. No, there is a thing called like retail adoption rate. And if you download an app and all things being equal, same social, same token, same everything, except one has 1 million supply, one has 1 billion supply, people are more likely to buy the coin for $1 than buy 100 of that coin at $1 rather than buy 10% of the $1,000 coin. Mm-hmm. Even all things being equal, it's just visually, I don't know if it's a visual thing, I don't know if it's just a ego thing, like, yeah, I have 1,000 of that thing versus I have 10% of that thing. It just sounds better. So one, coin price does actually matter when it comes to whether or not retail is going to buy it. It might not matter so much for institutional investors, but yeah, that definitely does matter. As far as advice, new people coming in, I don't really like to give people advice out of coins outside of top 20, maybe top 30.
No, not advice for coins, but more like you're stepping in.
Oh, you're stepping in. Like, the first thing you can do is go ahead and sub to Discover Crypto. The second thing you can do is maybe ask yourself, well, why? Why? Am I just trying to get rich? All right, we'll have that be your investment thesis. Do I hate the government printing money? Whoa, well, buckle up. You're stuck. You're going to be with us for the rest of your life. I'm sorry, you're a weirdo now. There's going to be different angles. Are you just super into tech? All right, we'll start learning about smart contracts and Solidity. So maybe, find out why you would be interested, and then that will describe the how or the what.
The Deezy starter pack, everybody. And it's true. It's like breaking it down to the number one thing. And it's not only just crypto. One of the things I love about what we're doing here at Discover Crypto, we do it on Around the Blockchain. We do it on BitLab Academy. We do it on Frankie Candle's Blockchain Basement. And that's, all of us mention, what's your why? And it's not just an impactful thing for an investment thesis and trading thesis, but also, if you're trying to excel at anything, if you don't understand what the reason is, your fuel to do it, it's almost impossible to have the follow through to enact it.
Yeah. Well, if the fake elites are going to have this weird ESG narrative where it's like, oh, they did this fake thing and they checked this form on this box, and so now this weird ESG ranking's higher. Now Slate Street's more likely to invest in them than their counterparty. Why don't we do the opposite? You know what? You're not a part of the state. You know what? You are fighting inflation. And so I have $100. I could put it in Robinhood and put in some Amazon stock, or I could put it in self-sovereignty and I could put it into Bitcoin. To me, that choice is clear.
So continuing that thread, you've mentioned the halving, the importance of that on Bitcoin, and then how Bitcoin then impacts the altcoin cycles. But then also you just mentioned what's your why? What are you interested in? So that kind of brings up this idea of different niches within the digital asset space. So where we're at now compared to having almost impending right around the corner in spring 2024, are there any different sectors that you whether it's your why or your interest or just broadly, just from your awareness, is there a niche that you're feeling like you have your eye on that may be outperforming or performing in a different way than has in the last cycle? Of course, AI is there, gaming, but what's percolating your interest?
There's a saying for altcoins, and I'm gonna apply the saying for altcoins to applying to crypto sectors. The saying for altcoins is you don't hate it, you don't date it, you just trade it. I would say the same thing for crypto ecosystems. You don't hate it, you don't date it, you just trade it. You don't wait for, Alex Becker. I think Alex Becker is a great content creator. He is all in on gaming. I think that's fine, but I think that might not be the best way to, retire early. Might be, I'm looking for the next niche, whatever it is. No one knew OpenAI's release was going to do that to crypto coins. If they did, well, they'd be a billionaire right now. So congrats to that one person. But no one knew what that niche was going to be when it happened. And you might not know what the next niche will be when it happens. Is it going to be DeFi? Is it going to be NFTs? Is it going to be gaming? Who knows what it's going to be? Me, I'm ready to just, whatever it is, I want to hop on it and then just dive into it. I don't want to wait for gaming and then miss AI. I don't want to wait for DeFi and miss gaming. And so to me, it's just all about where is the ecosystem heading. You got to take that 30,000 foot view and then just jump in early. What's the number one guy in that space? All right, let me look at coin number 3, number 4, number 5. Let's start gambling in the crypto casino.
I love it. That's such good advice there. Now, before we wrap this up, I got a couple more questions for you. We talked about the beginners. And one of the things I think all of us fail to acknowledge is our own egos in the space. Whether we've been in a week, a month, a year, there's this pervasive sort of, I know because I've been here for half a cycle or a full cycle. But there's a lot of people out there that have been in the space for some period of time, and God bless them for being patient, but are asking, I've been in here in this amount of time and I've not achieved any successes that I thought I was going to get. What advice would you have for those people?
Be more bearish in your brain. Be more bearish. Why didn't people sell $69,000 Bitcoin, Kelly? Because they thought it was going to 70. Why didn't they sell $4,500 Ethereum? Because they thought it was going to 5K. So be more bearish in your brain. In fact, have the thought, Bitcoin might not put in a new all-time high. Guess what? You're going to be more prepared to take profits on that $26,000 Bitcoin. So you need to be more bearish. The people who made the most money in the space, in my experience, have been the most bearish people on crypto.
That's great advice. It speaks directly to risk management. We all think about profits, and then we fail to take profits.
Yeah, what do they say? You never go broke taking profits.
Exactly. So last thing I want to ask you, being the host of Discover Crypto, you're incredibly engaging. It's clear that you've been doing content for a long time, but are you the ultimate bellwether for everything that should be happening in crypto? Do you know everything? Are you the one we should be looking to? What's your why? Why are you doing it?
Well, I wrote that paper. I don't know if the camera can see it. I wrote the white paper, y'all. I am Satoshi. No, I definitely have my shortfalls when it comes to crypto knowledge. I think I have a good, broad understanding of, like the jack of all trades might not be the master of any. So I'm not going to be, 40 hours a week in that crypto ecosystem game where I could tell you all about that game economy. I'm not a coder. I don't know Solidity. So I can't pull up JavaScript and break down, that audit missed that on that altcoin. I can't believe the audit missed that. I'm never going to be that guy. But if you need that a little bit of something on everything, I'm definitely going to be there for you, because ultimately I think that's how you end up not missing that next trend. Because the super, shadowy coder in the basement, he probably didn't like NFTs, and he's probably going to miss that. Or the guy that's just like, he loves Supreme and he's all about, having the new Jordans. He probably got that Bored Ape early, but guess what? He missed out on that tech smart DeFi hub, and he ends up missing on those gains. And so when you're a master of one trade, you can't help but end up losing out on a couple things, because ultimately you have all these small aspects of crypto knowledge. It ends up making a complete jigsaw puzzle where you don't have the whole corner missing. In addition, here at Discover Crypto, kind of like that mental shelf space model, we have the same thing happening with our company. We have someone who's really, really into TA, Frankie Canvas. We have you really into the toolbox of crypto. Then we have NFT Alpha, really into NFTs. So we're kind of doing the same thing here at Discover Crypto, where Okay, you're the expert in gaming. Give me your like little brain download here. Okay, boom, I just downloaded it. You know, all right, all about this indicator on Glassnode. I don't know what this means on Glassnode. Kelly, go ahead, give me that. Let me download it here. So yeah, in a way, that's essentially what we're doing here at Discover Crypto too. Is jack of all trades, and then ultimately we can paint the most complete picture.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I love the fact that we have not only the facility here and the team that we have, but all of us have our own broad array of people networked throughout the entire ecosystem and bringing on different absolute masters of their craft. You know, like we have Mark Yusko on recently. We had Will Clemente on a couple months ago, Jesse Olson, Didi Taihutu. And it's nice to be able to know, and all of us being humble enough to say, I don't know everything, but I want to. But I'm going to focus on as much as I can, and those areas that these people are experts, let's dig into their brains and let's share it to everybody.
I love the crypto experts who are like an expert in one thing, but you know, I think back in my entire adult life, when someone's an expert in a very narrow field, they tend to be a little myopic. I feel like they
That's
tend
why
to
we put them together like a puzzle
things.
piece.
Yeah, you got to assemble the Avengers team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Deezy, it's great getting to know you a little better. I didn't even know half the stuff about where you came from, why you're here, what you're all about. And so to wrap this up, what is your ultimate ethos? Not just your why for being the host of Discover Crypto, but what do you hope to bring to the table? What do you hope to deliver to the audience?
I just want to make it apparent that the governments around the globe are printing our wealth into nothingness. They're printing the money you hold into nothingness. And there is one escape, and that escape seems to be Bitcoin and the broader crypto ecosystem. I think, you know, by focusing on this early, we are setting ourselves up for success. If you could get in a time machine and tell your grandpa, hey, there's this thing called email going to be invented in the mid-'80s. You should really look into it. I feel like your grandpa / depending on your age, I feel like they'd be pretty good off. And I feel like crypto is almost like the next wave of technology. I would put it up there with a big impact like email, like World Wide Web. I would say crypto's right up there. So, I mean, would you want to look at email in the mid-'80s? Would you want to look at personal computing in the late 80s? Would you want to look at internet in the early 90s? Yes. So let's look into crypto now, because I think it's going to be permeating all aspects of our lives. Or it's 1984 and they have full control, and that's not a future I want.
No, Bitcoin, money, culture, commerce, it runs the whole gambit. Well, Deezy, again, thank you for being here. Hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. We look forward to seeing you again. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one.